school is out and RSL is back for the final time in 2022. We are here for the Dutch Grand Prix in RSL Tier 1. Looking at the standings, the most important thing to keep an eye on at the moment, it is SLR Quattro in the lead, and with all the hype and all the build up in the TikTok, as he has the chance to go 4 race wins in a row, beat the record that Syke and Lucas Paul have today if he wins in his home Grand Prix. But that's all to be seen later on. We are watching JRR. We're going to shortly just get someone into the lobby before we can quickly get going again. And everything should be all good to go. He's validated his outlap and he's going to let, I think that is Jinx by. Jinx, we're right on board with him for the first hot lap of the session. Into turn 1 he goes, drops it down normally to 3rd gear. He's going to try ride it through 4th. Through the banked corner, that is. Turn 3 and upwards now, down to turn 5 and 6, and probably one of the trickiest corners. The almost flat but just slightly lift. He's dropped down to 6th gear. Normally you'd try and stay in 7th, but he's kind of just taking it easy here in his outlap through turn 8 now he goes. Probably one of the hardest sections on the track to absolutely nail, but later in as soon as track evolution happens, you normally earn a lot of time through those sections. But as he heads now down to the only real chicane of this whole track, he has put in a mighty lap so far and he's not got held up in any sort of traffic. And as he goes round turn 13 and at a long banked famous turn 14, it's going to be Jinx to open DRS, and to the line he goes. Our first lap of the day is going to be a 1:11.8. Behind him SJR 1:10.7. After that is JRR, he goes in with a 1:11.7, and Rayan a 1:11.2. Next across the line is Lucas Paul 73, celebrating Argentina's win and maybe just a little bit drunk from it because he's probably set the worst time so far, though Fraser McBot did. He must have had a bit of a spin. Kofi next across the line. Kofi goes P3 of Curry. We've missed a few laps there, but we're going to just catch the end of Randro 17's lap. I think he just abandoned that one, so that won't be hugely important, and everyone else is now back into the pit lane. $18 now so far. XD Harrison, many other drivers now all into the pits. Oh, that's FaZe McBot. FaZe McBot losing it there, coming out of turn 10 and into the barriers, and more than likely will be starting at the back of the grid. It's going to be a tough drive for him, as he has parked his car right there, back finally after the huge controversy in season 3, and he's not back in a very good way at the moment. That is him out of the session. SLR Quattro into the pit lane, and behind them the two McLarens are going side by side. They're going to waste a bit of time now in the pit lane because of that. I think Jackie Cabana, the only person on a lap at the moment, will keep an eye on him through this lap. Now he heads down towards now turn 7. Based on his normal pace, he should be aiming around the 1:11s, 7s, and try and get into that what is current top 7 at the moment, as Douglas crosses the line to start his first flying lap, and the same for Per Jaeger. And then after that, it's all just about Jackie Gabbana. Joined a little bit late, but has got his setup on. He's got going now, and he hasn't invalidated his lap so far, which means that as he heads now down towards turn 13, the Red Bull, the Tier 2 champion, for the first time here, we are racing in Zandvoort. We were supposed to race here in Season 2. That was cut short. We're racing here in Season 4, and Jackie Gabbana is only able to go 12th fastest. Big Loudy, another one only just about to start his first flying lap. Randro 17 is not. Douglas, he is also on a lap, and he seems to be going quite well at the moment as he heads to the end of his Sector 2 through the chicane now. Yellow flags into Sector 1. I think that's involving don't know who that's involving. It could be with SLR Quattro or J. Crow coming out of pit lane, but it's Douglas now to the line. What can the Red Bull driver do? He's going to go P5, and not a bad lap at all. Next across the line, Per Jaeger, only 11th fastest. A lot of people now starting out laps. Rayan starting a lap, along with a lot of others. SJR starting a lap. Jackie Gabbana coming to the end of his, and then after that it's Big Loudy, who is on a hot lap. And right on board through the final sector now with him. See what the Alfa Romeo reserve can do. Racing for Mercedes, was racing for Mercedes in Tier 2. He's taking a bit of a break. He's back in now. He's reserving in Tier 1 today. We'll see what he can do. Big Loudy to the line, P12 for now. J. Crow about to start another flying lap, and then we'll also keep an eye on SLR Quattro, who's also starting another flying lap. Douglas on an in lap. Rayan, he's got into some sort of contact there. Luckily no penalties, but something has happened there. But I think that's Alpine of Mopsy Flopsy. But there is SJR has abandoned his lap. Behind him is Rayan, who also has abandoned it. Just trying to see who here is on a flying lap. Griffin went for a bit of a spin. Tapped off the barriers there. Randro 17, not much really getting a competitive lap in, but at the moment, crucially, it's SJR on pole position here for the Dutch Grand Prix, and it's so far spoiling the Quattro party here. As we watch, I think that's J. Crow coming around the final corner now, and he is only going to be able to go 16th fastest. SLR Quattro has abandoned his lap and is into the pit lane. Next across the line, Lucas Paul is going to go and start his lap. I think that's Owen Curry, who is a 10th up on his time. Now, even just a 10th up can possibly put him into the top 5 here. 2 Williams are doing well here for Rayan, and then obviously Jinx reserving for Rex Paolo, as Owen Curry now is going to come to the line, and he is going to go into the top 5. He's going to go into the top 4, and it's a McLaren second row at the moment. And XD Harrison, I just missed, has set a great lap as well into P5. Really has proven a lot of people wrong here since back in the lobby. JRR went for a bit of a spin, and Jackie Gabbana is going to come to the end of his second run. Or no, start his second run. We have an Aston Martin of Randro 17, hopefully not holding up a Ferrari, and I think that's Lucas Paul, because they've got has DNF'd, as Lucas Paul now is going to come round to turn 14. And we'll see now, can he improve on his time? He can, and he can only put himself P12 though with it. Griffin, another one, couldn't quite improve. J. Crow the same. I think they're only starting new laps. As we see Jackie Gabbana there, he was 3/10 up. It looked like it was going well, but it's not going well so far. Douglas to the line he goes, remains P8. Hayden got SJR also about to start a lap now. Per Jaeger to the line, also only starting a lap, and that's pretty much it. Jackie Gabbana obviously spun out, so his lap is gone. Lucas Paul on an in lap. I think that's Griffin, who is just barely up in his time here, but there was yellow flags brought out, and I don't know if that was because of him. It seems to be still burning the ERS, means he is going fast. He has 2/10 up, so it's not bad at all so far from Griffin. Heads through turn 12 now and down towards turn 13. He has Lucas Paul ahead of him on an in lap, so he should have nothing to disturb him from one of his final flying laps, probably his second last final flying lap. Griffin to the line, only P12 for now. Jay Crow, is he improving? He is only starting a lap. And the same for Kofi Douglas, he is improving and has gone into P3 with a fantastic lap there, almost into the 1:10s. That's where you need to be if you want to be competing with SJR and Quattro. He's almost there, but at the moment he's not. SJR is going to come into the pits for the final time to get prepared for that final run. Hayden unable to improve, along with Per Jaegers, had a bit of a spin down at turn 14. Jackie Gabbana, is this finally the time here where he actually improves? As he heads round the banking now, I don't think it is. He's just going to come into the pit lane, also get prepared for his final lap. Rayan, another one who is improving. No, he's not. He is also starting a lap. So many people starting their final laps very, very early here. Kofi, I think, is on a lap at the moment. Maybe he's abandoned one because he doesn't seem to be improving. He's into the pit lane, and so too is Big Loudy. Jay Crow the same. Many people are just starting to come into the pit lane now and get ready for that final lap. Jinx is starting the final lap now, so this is going to be his final lap of the session more than likely. We'll see what he can do. Hayden, he was a bit up on his time, but he didn't chance it. He wants to come in. Well, he actually was invalidated. I didn't see that. Big Loudy, he is also starting his final flying lap, and SJR is out nice and early for his, as Jinx has had a bit of a spin. They're down at turn 3 heading into 4, and that's not going to help his quest to get back up into the top 5, so he's going to hopefully keep everything going and hopefully gain enough ERS to go again towards the end of the lap. We'll ride on board a Big Loudy because he is one who is not on a lap either, so many people still not on a lap yet. Randro 17 and out lap. Rayan, he is on a lap, or is he? No, he is on an in lap. Are you sure? Well, watch SJR because he's about to start now his final flying lap. We'll ride on board because there's no one else coming to the line before him to start that lap. We hope he doesn't come into much traffic. We'll see now because cars are coming out of pit lane. One of them is Griffin, I think, just ahead of him. And we'll see now what SJR can do. Can he extend his advantage, or can he just go out there just to try and put off Quattro and maybe extend his advantage? We don't know. Quattro's still not out yet. He's waiting until the very last minute to set that lap, as SJR is ever so slightly down on his time. But as I said, going through now this sector 2 is where all your time can be gained. Track evolution is crazy in this part of the track, as here he goes now. Hopefully the Alpine gets out of the way for him. He seems to. So everything going fairly well for SJR at the moment as he heads now. Oh, bit of oversteer coming out of turn 10 and on the run down into the 11-12 chicane. Is he up in his time? He's 2/10 down. He needs to make some massive time in the third sector there because that oversteer definitely didn't help him at all. So SJR is going to come round turn 13, and now the famous turn 14 banking. Is he going to improve? SJR to the line he goes. He isn't. He's just down on his time, so it's not going to be enough to improve on pole position as SLR Quattro comes out for his outlap. Griffin on an outlap as well. JRR the same, and he's let through Big Loudy, who is on his final flying lap, although I think he has abandoned that and he's ready just to go again. So everyone at the moment mainly on a lap. Jackie Gabbana, I think, is 3/10 up here at the moment, so he is not on a lap or a outlap. He is on a flying lap. This is going to be the final lap of the session for him, and Jackie Gabbana is going to come to the line, and he is going to improve, but not improve to get anywhere. Maybe just extend his advantage on J. Crow. Randro 17, ever so slightly up on his time. We'll see what he can gain towards the end of the track. He's able to get up into P7. XD Harrison starting a lap. SLR Quattro starting his final lap now. We'll keep an eye on that as it comes to the end of qualifying. J. Crow 1.5 seconds up in his time. This should be enough possibly to get up into the top 10, maybe even just the top 10. We'll see. It is top 10 for J. Crow. A good lap there. Jackie Gabbana, or no, Douglas to the line as he improved. He has. Quattro's had a collision. He's had a collision with Harrison, and Harrison's picked up a penalty, and that is not going to help his chance for pole, and that is absolute drama there at the end. That's Quattro's pole ruined. Next across the line, I think that's Rayan. He's starting his lap. Everyone just starting their lap now. Oven Curry is going to come to the line now. Is he going to improve? Oven Curry to the line. No, that's qualifying over for him. I think that was Jackie Gabbana into the pit lane. Kofi now, can he improve? He can, only for P3 though, as qualifying is now over. Randro on an in-lap. I think that was J. Crow, he's on an in-lap as well. Douglas, not. Many people struggling at the moment. Hayden ever so slightly up in his time. Can Hayden possibly get a little bit higher for himself and up into the top 10? Ooh, a little bit poor coming out turn 14 there. We'll see what Hayden can do now. DRS, he's getting a lovely little slipstream as well to the line. It's not, it's only going to be P12. At the moment it's quite a boring end to qualifying as we watch Mopsy Flopsy on his only time goes P14. SLR Quattro crosses the line. He's not going to be able to improve. Lucas Paul invalidates his time. Nothing really going to plan so far. Rayan 1/10 up on his time, but only loses time through the end and only going to start P4. Next, JRR, he's invalidated. XD Harrison, he's into the pits. Oven Curry, he's into the pits. And then it's Jinx, who has spun himself into the pits as well. So I think that's it. Griffin, the only one on a lap, and he is also not on a lap because he has spun and lost his wing. So that is the end of qualifying. I was expecting a more dramatic end, but only really a few people lost time through it, or a few people gained positions from it, and because of that it's SJR's early lap of a 1:10.715. That's enough for pole position here. So SJR on pole ahead of his championship rival Quattro. He needed something like that because Quattro is 51 points ahead in the championship at the moment. Kofi in P3, Rayan in P4, Douglas P5, Oven Curry P6. XD Harrison will drop to 12th because of his 5-plate grid penalty start 7th. Randro 8, Jinx 9th, J. Crow 10th, JR 11th, Hayden 12th, Griffin 13th, Mopsy Flopsy 14th, Lucas Paul 15th, Per Jaeger 16th, Big Loudy 17th, Jackie Gabbana 18th, and FaZe McGoat, or FaZe McBot as many people know, starts 19th. We'll see you in the race tomorrow. We'll see now what waits ahead of us. Obviously, as you can see on your screens, it is raining. If anyone knows why it's raining, or what the weather is supposed to be, you could just drop it there in the comments. But as we watch, I'm guessing everyone on the intermediate tyres, because it doesn't seem to be that bad. There's Rayan put to the grid, back of the grid, from a bit of an incident for himself. I think he's the only one, and we're going to need people to catch up now, because a tier 2 driver was punished yesterday for tier 2 driver was punished yesterday for being more than 10 car lengths ahead, and I'm sure SJR will try to slow them up, but that's what is the rule, that's what needs to happen. So we'll see if I think it is that's Jinx, who's very, very far back. Oh, he seems to be struggling though. That's more the reason why. And Randro is the same, but I'm sure he'll know to catch up in time. Jinx, I think, is trying his best, but more than likely he is going to be penalised for this, because SJR is pretty much already waiting on the grid. For this race to start, as we wait also probably for FaZe McBot, who may also receive a bit of a penalty for his actions, as we wait now for him to set up on the grid so we can get going here for the Dutch Grand Prix. Here we go to 5 red lights for the Dutch Grand Prix here in Netherlands. It's lights out and away we go. It seems to be an even getaway from the 2 drivers at the front. A good getaway from Oven Curry, who's already got ahead of Rayan and his cold tyres. SJR into the lead. Kofi seems to try and go for one here on SLR Quattro, as it seems like one of the Ferraris has gone very wide at the back. SJR off to a fantastic start, straight into the lead of this race. Mopsy Flopsy's dropped positions. Lucas Paul dropped positions after his poor start. And Big Loudy has received a drive-through penalty for jump starting. Rayan, somehow, even with all of his cold tyres, has managed to get up quite high there into P3. FaZe McBot's picked up a penalty, so too has Harrison for corner cutting. And at the moment, JRR, he's got a fantastic start, the tier 2 championship leader, up into P5 there after jumping Oven Curry. He's off to an amazing start, and J Crow the exact same. He has jumped, he has got 2 positions so far, and possibly may get 3 if he can go around the outside of Oven Curry, who's off to a horrible start, with Randro right in the back of him as well. J Crow up in the P6. It's tier 2 dominating tier 1 at the moment, as there seems to be yellow flags at the back. Jinx and Per Jaeger have retired. Well, what's happened there? A huge crash. Jinx on the right, Per Jaeger on the left, and a virtual safety car has been deployed. Absolute crazy start, and the safety car is now out. Lap 1 safety car for all the incidents. Crazy start to the race, and 2 drivers have retired. They're just off the exit of turn 10, and Jinx, Per Jaeger obviously retiring, but Jinx obviously looking for a seat to come back, and he'll want to come back with a fair share of points, and at the moment it's still only his P18 in Monaco that he's going to get any credit for, as Griffin overtakes, has FaZe McBot. They have a bit of switcheroo to do, but seems like everyone has got away quite nicely, other than the 2 that have DNF'd, because, well, FaZe McBot, he's had a bit of a spin and he's fallen back to P16, but Lucas Paul's let him back by. We'll look at penalties here. Who's picked up penalties here? Obviously Big Loudy with the drive-through. XT Harrison, FaZe McBot gaining places. And that could be removed later in the race if they don't serve it. Griffin has received a penalty for a collision with Hayden, and FaZe McBot has now dropped to the back of the field. So FaZe McBot is into the pit lane. I think that's probably for a front wing change. Alright, well they've just shown me the wrong pit box here. Here we are, and he's also going to serve that 5-second penalty. It wouldn't be a bad idea for Griffin and Harrison to serve. Both of them want to stay in their current track position though, so that's their decision obviously, and FaZe McBot thought it may have been the right idea. Get a new front wing on, maybe change the front wing settings a bit as well. Serve the penalty, he'll come out last anyway where he originally was. Lucas Paul also had a bit of trouble there. It's not been the greatest start for Ferrari. One team that has had the greatest start definitely is AlphaTauri. Obviously, if we look at position change, SLR Quattro kind of remain in position, but obviously with the fast drivers and the fast starts that you have behind them, you would worry for him. But he did manage to keep the position, unfortunately not able to get SJR, but he seems to be in a league of his own here at the moment. J Crow gaining 3 positions from P9. I forgot that he managed to improve enough to get himself into the top 10, or he got himself 10th, and I think Harrison's penalty then dropped him back. So Rayan has jumped 1 place and Kofi has lost 1. JRR has jumped 5 places off to a fantastic start for him. J Crow the same with 3. Oven Curry and Randro both lost a place, with Hayden going up 2, Griffin going up 3, as the safety car's already in this lap. So we'll turn back to the tyres and we'll see what SJR is going to do here on the safety car restart. When's he going to go? Safety car still isn't into the pit lane yet. Jinx is at the session. He's had enough, he's not even going to engineer. SJR is underway here as we're get going for the safety car restart here. There's lots of position changing, and Big Loudy is going to serve that drive-through penalty while he can now. Lots of position changing. Kofi's got back ahead of JRR, and SJR has kept the lead as we watch here at the back. That looks to be Randro having a bit of a battle too. I think Mopsy Flopsy's dropped back a bit, but has also made up a few positions. Randro down the inside of Oven Curry into that position. Oven Curry's getting swarmed here on the start. He must not like the wet conditions, because Hayden is going to go side by side with him too. He's forced Oven Curry onto the grass, who manages to back away. XD Harrison in the back also went onto the grass. But at the moment it's still JRR and J Crow having a good time back there, as Randro manages to get by and J Crow spun round. J Crow spun round, he's reset the track, and he's caused a collision with Mopsy Flopsy, and he's going to receive not only a penalty possibly for the incident, but also the 10-second penalty and 2 penalty points for resetting the track. That is not what you want to do, as Lucas Paul's disconnected from the session. J Crow ruined his chances of a good race now, with that going to be on his back for the rest of the race. Just try to get Lucas Paul back into the session here. And is that another safety car? It is a second safety car already this race, from I think the incident with Mopsy Flopsy, because I don't think, oh well, FaZe McBot also going around with no front wing. Who is this guy? Alex on Streak. Whoever you think you are, you can Fuck off. Not inviting you. Second safety car this race, and Owen Curry is probably dreading that because he's got off to the worst start possible here. I look on track conditions, seems like the rain is getting lighter. And Douglas has received a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. And that's not the start Red Bull wanted either. Absolute carnage here in the Dutch Grand Prix. No one can seem to get away quite cleanly, but at the moment only 2 DNFs and another safety car is out. Mopsy Flopsy must be completely infuriated with J. Crow resetting the track. Him doing so led to... Oh, and that's Griffin getting by Owen Curry. Owen Curry had something going on, and FaZe McBot, a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. XD Harrison is going to serve that 5-second penalty he had earlier in the race. He's going to put on that front wing, and he's going to come out in P16. FaZe McBot still has a 5-second penalty. Douglas with the drive-through, and Griffin has decided also to stay out in P8. Lucas Paul back into the lobby, so we still have 17 racers as we wait now for the 4 guys to catch up so we can get going as soon as humanly possible. Hoping for an exciting race, maybe more at the front, because at the moment it's just midfield carnage, which isn't allowing us to see the good racing between Quattro and SJR, which is really disappointing. If the lads can just get themselves copped on together and we all get going, but J. Crow said otherwise and has caused a collision without a doubt with Mopsy Flopsy. Completely not his fault. And we'll see what the stewards have to say about that. Obviously his penalty points that he receives for the reset the track obviously is going to carry over into Tier 2, which after that win in France, that fabulous win in France I must say, so FaZe McBot came back into the pit lane. I think that's his 3rd pit stop of the race. But we'll see what he can do, because he's back out with no penalties. And realistically, based on how this race has gone so far, if he just manages to keep himself on the track, he should be alright to finish high up based on his pace once everything gets going, because it looks like on my screen the rain is clearing. I don't know whether or not it is for the racers. We'll find out about that later in the race. But on my screen that I'm looking at right now, the rain is clearing and the safety car is in this lap. Finally, we get going again. The rain is light. It should make the best, grippiest conditions for the drivers. Hopefully the rain soon enough disappears and we have a dry track towards the end of this race. But we're going to wait now again. SJR's held up the pack just a little bit further than he did last time. And we'll see now when he will go. He has gone right now. The safety car into the pit lane. And Rayan has got a great start, but he's overtaken him before the line, so he's had to give him the place back. Doing so, he's left Kofi, the door open for Kofi here. He's going to try sneak a wheel down the inside. They go 3 wide. They somehow keep it clean. Look at this at the back. It somehow manages to get safe, but Randro went optimistic. He went too optimistic. Oh, what's Lucas Paul done? He's retired on track. Absolute carnage at the back again. He's retired from the race, but Randro's optimistic move has been too optimistic there. Jay Crow has had a bit of a penalty. Douglas, 5 seconds, ignoring yellow flags. His race is definitely not going to plan. At the top, it seems to be doing alright, but not alright for SJR, because look who's under attack here. Quattro's going to try go for it here on SJR. They're going to be side by side down the straight. Quattro's burning all the ERS. He wants to take this lead of the race. He's going to go lay in the brakes into turn 11. Quattro's into the lead. He has it in his sights now. 28 laps left to see if he can keep this lead and possibly get that 4 race wins in a row. XD Harrison battling with Jay Crow at the back. They've had a horrible race, but SJR is gaining, and with his ERS himself, he's also going to launch one down the inside. This is the battle we wanted to see. This is the battle we're getting to see, as SJR is up into P1 yet again. Great defensive manoeuvre after being overtaken just a moment ago, and he's back up into P1. XD Harrison retires in the pit lane, and Jay Crow and Douglas come in. He goes to service drive-through. Jay Crow a front wing change as SJR gets a great sector 1 and is hoping now to try and just get away from Quattro, but based on these two and their pace throughout the season, it's looking like it could be another battle between them. Quattro rarely makes a mistake, so SJR needs to take all the points he can in this very short season before we head into our 2-week break and come back on the 5th of January, I think it is. Or no, not the 5th of January, it is the 6th of January, if I'm correct. On a Saturday, SJR, fastest lap so far. And he is just ever so slightly gaining away from Quattro. And it's also inviting another Dutch player to try, or Dutch racer to try and get on the back of the AlphaTauri here as he heads through turn 14. And has a lot of ERS. Both of them all really have the same. They're all burning it down the straight, and it means that they're kind of gaining as well, kind of away from JRR, who's having a fantastic race, the tier 2 driver. And we finally now reached lap 10 with only 2 safety cars, and hopefully that's the end of safety cars for the race. Now I'm looking at the screen, it looks like there's absolutely no rain coming down at the moment, so that could possibly mean, I can see a few trickles, that could possibly mean that there's a dry spell on the way for slick tyres. That's what I really want to see around this track. Quattro still being chased down by Rayan, and look who's right on the back of JRR. Griffin had an amazing race so far. That's someone spun out. It's SJR. It's SJR who's spun out from the lead of the race. It's carnage for Aston Martin. His race that looked to be going to plan is not going to plan, and SLR Quattro is now also gaining a good bit away, but it's heartbreak for SJR, who's now probably going to also have to come into the pits for that front wing change. Someone else's front wing is blown off there, and I think that is FaZe McBots. There's left rear out, or left front end plate has flung off. Griffin couldn't get by JRR there. He's actually ended up losing the place to Hayden, which we didn't see. SJR is going to come into the pits, and he's going to come out in P14 with the new front wing. Hayden searching down P4. He was a tier 2 winner and already moved up into tier 1. He's been doing well in tier 1. He's hoping to get ahead of JRR here and up into a potential podium fighting position. We'll see now who gets the better exit on the run down towards turn 11. Seems to be JRR. Keep an eye on this battle in the front. SLR Quattro is back on track to win his 4th race in a row and possibly almost settle the championship here halfway through. And Rayan's going to try his best, being the new Williams driver who DNF'd and received a hefty penalty in Monaco. If he can come back from that deficit and possibly challenge SJR or Quattro for the title, or for the win here today. 2 Dutch drivers, 1-2. Which Dutch driver will be standing on the top step of the podium here in Netherlands is Kofi. That's Kofi flung out and into a barrier. His car wrecked and a safety car out. JRR has got himself up into the podium, and Kofi, who was doing so well, has only himself to blame for that one, and he is out of this race. Wow. He is straight out of here. That is definitely not what he wanted, but for SJR that is probably what he wanted. 11 laps is... Do they know that there's a dry period coming? Are they going to pit? We don't know. JRR is quite far back, and it really is opening this Rayan versus Quattro battle. Both of them stay out, and we'll see whether or not someone else comes in. That's now a 5th retirement from this race and the 3rd safety car here in 13 laps. So we wait for the driver. Ooh, that's a big call. SJR has gone for the hard tyres. So he has to take a gamble. He needs a gamble in this championship, and he's taking one here because as the rain starts to die down on my screen, he is seeing it die down on his screen. He's into the pit lane for slicks, and so is FaZe McBot, Owen Curry and SJR. Now, if Quattro and the guys here do not come in, that could mean that these guys have played the 200 IQ play and have got up. Now, who is going to make that gamble? Nobody. No, Randro 17, being the smart driver he is also going to make that gamble. Now that's a huge gamble. We'll see whether or not it pays off, because now these guys are going to get the time to catch up. And look, the rain is completely gone. They are saying by the end of this safety car there is going to be a change of weather conditions. Now J Crow is also one that's on these slicks, and they're going to try their best to also not spin the car. That's one of the most important things, which FaZe McBot at the moment here is actually trying not to do. But it's Randro, Douglas, Owen Curry who could be on for a huge IQ play here. SJR a long way back, taking his time. May have to hurry up a bit, because if he doesn't, then there may be something else. Now, obviously, I think McBot did have a problem there, because he has came into the pits and he's going to put on more. He's going to put on medium tyres. Alright, so J Crow has stayed out on the intermediates, and he has I think he's tried to overtake SJA, you're not allowed to overtake under the safety car. Unless he has lost a car, which he clearly hasn't, but McBott's going to come out, he's going to try 22 laps on the mediums. I think he done this in LOI this season. We'll see if he can do it again. But at the moment, looking at the conditions, and Owen Curry and Randro have all caught up. Have they pulled the IQ play that no one else did? And is Quattro going to do it? Going to make the call? We'll see again as they head towards the end of the lap. Is Quattro going to spin away into the pits? I'm sure possibly Rayan might, because this is the time now for him to do so. Quattro stays out. Oh, I thought Rayan did pull in there. No, but I think that's Big Loudy into the pits. So we have one more. We've also Mopsy Flopsy. So everyone is starting to pull away. And Owen Curry, well, he's licking his lips as if there is an Owen Curry, because he may be in with a shot for his first race win here in RSL if things go to plan. Quattro could be shitting himself, more or less, because is it going to dry up? He's saying himself, Quattro, one thing about this track is that it doesn't dry up fast. I think SJR has shown a prime example of this, because he still can't get out ahead of Loudy and Mopsy. J. Crow has decided to come in though, and he's going to go for the slick tyres. No, he's going for more intermediates. Interesting. But a lot of people have gone for those tyres, and Jackie Gabbana is also stuck with his 14 lap old intermediates. He must have went for a spin. Still waiting for cars to catch up, but I think it's about time now that the safety car does come in. 20 laps to go, 16 played, 3 safety cars so far. We'll see now when this track dries up. FaZe McBott's picked up a penalty now. Cutting the corners, he's into the pit lane again. He is struggling. Or maybe he's in so he can get back onto the hards, and it's might not be going to plan for him, because oh no, he's just retired. So that's the end of FaZe McBott's return, and unfortunately not the way he wanted his return to be. But this is it then. How is this going to plan out? Quattro, Rayan, JRR, everyone in the top 5, all in the intermediates. The rest, other than J. Crow and Jackie Gabbana, all on slicks. Is that the right call? We'll see now. When will Quattro go? Has he made the right call? Has he not? He's still waiting, he's gone. He's gone, and Rayan's got an excellent getaway. He could get him here, because with all his ERS burning, he's going to try it here. He's going to try go down the inside. It's Dutch battling here. The Dutch battling in the Dutch Grand Prix as they head now down towards turn 3, still quite side by side. They're leaving room for each other, but at the moment SLR keeps the lead of the race. Randro's got an excellent start, he's already up in the P6. Could this be another race win for Randro? Rayan still right on the back of Quattro, all on the intermediates at the moment, but it seems like the guys on the slicks are struggling. You can see they are struggling, so it means that the track hasn't quite dried up just right for them yet. But can Quattro and the top 6 all get enough grip to stay ahead? There's a collision at the back, a few guys have lost positions. That's joy for SJR, who's already back up into the top 10 now. But as we see here, they're all still battling here in the top 6, who have gained a good bit away from Randro. He's just doing his best to try keep that Aston Martin within a pit stop away, and we'll keep an eye on interval to the leader to see, because at the moment Quattro is still going to come out in last place if he pits right now. But they're still gaining, and at the moment he's gaining quite a lot on Randro, and he may be out of pit stop distance soon. We'll see, because Quattro now comes to the line. His times, we'll see in this lap, are his times getting that much quicker? The track, yeah, you can see it is still very wet on my screen. There's a bit of a dry line there that he's going through. The more they race, the more that dry line does dry up. And I think Quattro may have made the right call here, and the gamble didn't quite work, because he's already going to come out now in P10, and Mopsy Flopsy's in. And Owen Curry seems to be also struggling there at the back, but we'll see now how long it will take before the slick guys, because also they're also on the hards. That's the hardest tyre to warm up in these cold conditions. But if they get them warmed up, are they going to start gaining? The worst thing for these guys would be if a safety car comes out, and Owen Curry has had a bit of a mistake there, which and SLR Quattro is only barely gaining time here, so that means that although tyre wear is also a factor in that, it isn't quite drying up as you would like. He's gaining on Rayan here, and he's already a pit stop distance from Randro, so the play has worked out in the end for Quattro. He knew this track wouldn't dry out quick, and he has been a very smart driver in doing that, because he is going to stay out and he's going to keep gaining until he knows when to come in for the slicks. They didn't listen to their engineers, obviously, because it's not working out for the slick runners at the moment. And for the top 6, or top 7 I should say now, everything is working out well for them, because now it's long of a pit stop away. And unless Quattro makes any sort of mistake, which I could probably put my house on him not, then everything should go to plan for the AlphaTauri and his 4th win in a row. We've just halfway through this race now, probably around this part of the sector now. We're halfway through this race. SJR into the pit lane, and he is on to it, back onto the intermediates. He doesn't think it's dry enough yet, and I think possibly there could be more wet to come for these guys. Mopsy Flopsy into the pit lane as well. SLR Quattro still leads the way, 32 seconds now to Randro's 17. They may as well stick it out. SJR and Mopsy Flopsy have decided not to. They decided to change tyres again, but they may as well stick it out. I thought if this track is going to dry up completely, I thought that would probably be the idea. But unless there's a safety car now, it looks like SJR's race is over, and as SLR Quattro goes past Mopsy Flopsy, it looks like his race is over too, and he's come out between Rayan as well. Oh, and what's he doing? What is JRR doing? Blue flags, mate. Ooh, very, very close call there. And we'll see if he gets out of the way of JRR. That has cost Rayan up to a second, and look at him sliding all over the place just out of the pit lane. Mopsy, he needs to just get out of the way here and let all these cars by. He does not want to cause an incident, and luckily for himself he does. But at the moment, 18 laps on this race now, and that is an incident I think with J Crow. The back, Laudy has picked up a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And is this a retirement for Big Laudy in the pit lane? No, he's going to come in, he's coming back onto the intermediates. So maybe, with all these people coming back onto the intermediates, does that mean that they are, like SJR has already caught up to the pack, he knows that it's completely not suitable for slicks yet, and to be fair, it's a very smart decision, because he's already caught back up. Oh, and Owen Curry spun himself around, he's lost it. I think he's also chipped a bit of his front wing possibly. But SJR has all the pace at the moment. Hayden still continuing in his battle here. We'll switch back to interval since that battle has been decided. But Hayden still battling with JR here. Griffin also just behind him, but he obviously has that 5-second penalty still to serve in this race. None of these guys have pitted yet. We don't know if they are, if they're going to go to the very end. We'll see, because at the moment now, like, Rayan is doing his job, and so is JRR, because if Quattro does decide to come into the pits early and there is a potential safety car or even a VSC, they could come out ahead of him, and that could be really nerve-wracking for Quattro on his home GP. But with 16 laps to go, it seems to be all going well for the Dutch driver. Quattro sets the fastest lap of the race here. Track is definitely now starting to dry, because when drivers are setting the fastest laps, Randro. He has been overtaken by SJR, who more than likely could get 20 seconds ahead soon, and maybe if he'd stayed in the intermediates he could have been in this battle with Griffin at the top, but he took a gamble that didn't quite work, and he's going to have a safety car come to his rescue here if he wants any chance of stopping SLR Quattro from beating a record that's been kind of talked about a lot. Obviously last season it almost being broken. Obviously Lucas Paul, the first person to set it all the way back in season 1, and technically Randro says that he is also a 3-time in a row winner, if you count the sprint race he won in Great Britain. As SJR, he set the fastest lap of the race, obviously on those fresher intermediate tyres. He is definitely going much quicker than the guys on the slicks, who have still tried to decide to stay out on these slicks, but with them almost about to be lapped, we'll see whether or not they will. Big Laudy came back out onto the intermediates. Maybe that's the hope that he doesn't get lapped, and Quattro still gaining, but obviously with tyre wear coming into an issue, I don't think that will happen. The guys on the intermediates at the moment, if a safety car does come out, they could get themselves unlapped if they keep themselves at their pace. Now, Jackie Gabbana. Oh, and here's a big battle here. It's Hayden, it's Griffin, it's JRR, and it's Owen Curry, I think, is involved with them and all. He's trying to get out of the way on his slick tyres. It's absolute battling here, and off they go into the barriers. Griffin and Hayden just tagged the wheel. It looked scrappy, and it was scrappy because that's what's happened there. And they are going to lose plate. Well, they haven't actually lost much places because of it, but it means that their chance of a podium goes, and JRR could be on as one of the first ever current Tier 2 drivers to step on a podium in a Tier 1 race, which is just fantastic if you ask me. Griffin obviously reserve, still hasn't got that Tier 1 podium he's desperately wanted, but he can't get it. Hayden was in Tier 2 at the start of this year, but he's back into Tier 1, and that's an AlphaTauri who's retired. That's Jay Crow, who's lost a car, and it's a safety car. He's lost a car, he's parked it right on the track. The safety car is out. Now, that's lighting up the eyes of, I think that's Jay Crow in. Now, is it time now for the slick tyres? Has he gone for it? No, he's gone for fresh intermediates. So he has said that this track isn't drying up. It didn't work for many, and it's not working now. The guys still on the slicks are probably going to try and stick it out if they have the chance. Griffin also comes into the pit lane. Hayden stays out on his very, very old tyres. See if anyone else does. Griffin into the pits for the front wing change. Is that slicks? I think that's slicks for Griffin. That could be medium tyres for Griffin, so he is going for it as well. Now, as SLR Quattro says, this track doesn't quite dry out. Cheers, Sanko. I only seen that comment there now. This track doesn't quite dry out as quick as you would like, but has it dried out enough now for the slick tyres? Griffin has thought yes, and he is already on the comeback now for the guys at the front. JRR, he's thought no. He's still in P3 after his with obviously a few back markers in the way, and they're going to hope that Rayan come into the pits, Rayan and SLR come into the pits so they can overtake. But obviously because of them being caught under the safety car, means that JRR is going to take the lead unless they come in for slicks and possibly overtake both of them. See that now, Griffin seems to be struggling. He's losing time to Jackie Gabbana, who's under safety car. Now that is Randro, who's into the pit lane. He's speeding in the pit lane. Rayan, and he's also retired, so he won't be picking up points for Aston Martin. Now the guys like Douglas and Curry could be just battling it out here now for the last point scoring position. There's no point both of them retiring because they're lapped, because there's a position up for grabs even though they are lapped. Big gamble. See if it works out for Griffin, because at the moment it isn't still. They pitted all those laps ago, I think in lap 16, and 8 laps later it still doesn't look suitable enough for the slicks. Now we'll see whether or not that happens. It could really be lined up here for JRR. Unfortunately has 10 seconds of penalties, but it could be lined up with these guys with their very worn tyres, and if they do eventually come into the pits, I tell you, with these type of conditions, drying conditions, but like it's almost like Turkey where they're drying but they're not quite drying enough, and in these type of conditions anyone can win this race, and put money on it to be Quattro based on his pace, but realistically it could quite literally be anyone other than the guys that are lapped. Big Loudy came onto the mediums there that previous lap to try it again, but again didn't work, and I think is back in for those green tyres of intermediates. Also going to serve a penalty. Griffin has no front wing, he'll probably come back in for the intermediates because his gamble didn't work. SJR should be able to catch up now this lap and finally get back into that battle for possibly a win. Really is anyone's race. We'll see who will win it. Loudy picks up a penalty for crossing the white line. Safety car is in this lap. Griffin has decided to retire from the session, so he has given up on even a chance of some points for Alfa Romeo. 11 laps to go and everyone in it. We've had 19, we have had 9 retired, and in our 4th safety car of the race it is going to be the 2 Dutch drivers in front again to lead us underway. That's a Red Bull gone flying there at the back. A huge crash. JRR, Jackie Gabbana, everybody crashing at the back here as SJR goes around the outside of one of the back markers, already up in the P3. Crazy race this is. I don't know what's happened there with Jackie Gabbana and JRR, but it's definitely not been something very, very friendly, as the possibility of a Tier 2 driver winning or standing on the podium in Tier 1 goes astray. But SJR could well and truly now be in with a chance of this win. He has 10 laps with so much fresher tyres to overtake these two and take back the lead of the race after what was absolute controversy. We'll see now, because Rayan is also gaining on SLR Quattro. Both of these I think are going to try go to the end, hopefully try and avoid not having a puncture. Rayan in P2 still trying to hunt down these two. Jackie Gabbana, he has fallen far behind now because of that, and I don't know, maybe Douglas could have got involved. He has a front wing damage as well. That's what happens really, and obviously Owen Curry also didn't help in that with his slick tyres and wet conditions. SJR sets the fastest lap of the race and he's already there alongside them. We'll keep an eye on Rayan though, because he's the one at the moment who is in the sandwich between the two championship contenders. P1, P2, but that's about it. Lucas Paul back up into P3 in the championship. Race ban next race for retiring on track in Mexico. It could be a huge fall for someone like him. Hayden and Douglas into the pit lane, come out in last and sixth. Rayan struggling, he's almost a second back. SJR with the fresher tyres should be gaining. Don't know, is it time for the slicks yet? Don't know, there's still 9 laps left, so there's plenty of time to make up time if that does happen. See now in this great drone footage which gets all 3 of the cars in the footage, but at the moment it doesn't seem to be Quattro or Rayan gaining. It just seems to be SJR. Now these two are friends of each other, so they should be able to maybe put a bit of a agreement together, because obviously Quattro isn't going to be beaten here, it looks like, based on Rayan's pace. SJR is just going to have to be patient, take his time, get by Rayan, because look at Quattro, he's burning that ERS, he is getting far away here. SJR picking up just fastest lap after fast lap with his purple sectors at the moment. Ooh, goes a bit wide there though. Is this going to happen or not? 8 laps to go. Big Laudy has got himself up in the P5. I swear he was almost lapped a few laps ago, but now he's back up into P5. Crazily. JRR with his 10-second penalty was so far ahead, manages to keep himself in P4, taking on good points for the Alpine team. SJR is now much closer to Rayan this time than he was last lap. He made a great overtake into turn 1 to get past SLR Quattro, and he's going to hope to try and get past him again, because with ERS and slipstream and the fresher tyres obviously as well, he's going to pull to the inside again going into turn 1, and he is going to take P2 back off Rayan, and the pole sitter is now has 7 laps and a second and a half to gain on SLR Quattro, and then try and overtake the Dutch giant for the lead of the race. He's got by Rayan. Rayan may just be happy with that podium here in his first full race. Obviously his race so far, I think, only lasted a few corners, DNFing first lap of Imola. I don't think he ever raced again since season 3, and then he's raced in Monaco, DNF first corner, and he's now sitting P3 on the podium, with SJR now starting the gain on SLR Quattro, on the run down into 11-12 now. SJR gaining massively, but at the moment not quite gaining enough. They're very similar ERS, so SJR is just going to have to watch his burning of that. And at the moment his lap time should be doing enough to get ahead. Quattro's gaining using a lot of the ERS, which could put him derating soon. SJR managed to, even with an overtake into turn 1, set the fast lap of the race. Fast, those 22 lap younger tyres definitely are helping out SJR, and we don't know how much Quattro's are wearing out. Now obviously could turn into slicker mediates, or slintermediates, I think that's what they're called, like slicks and intermediates, because of the wearing. I don't know, but the more they're wearing, the higher there's a chance of a puncture in this game. No, it's not happening. SJR loses the car and he's hit the wall, and SLR Quattro probably seen that in his mirrors and is already celebrating the race win already, because SJR again has seemed to have thrown it away here for the second time this race, true to his own fault. And I don't know whether he got damaged or not. We'll soon find out whether he did. He'll probably come into the pits if that is. The track still isn't drying, looking at Owen Curry's time, still losing time to Douglas. To be fair, he hasn't come in yet. Makes me believe that he hasn't. Makes me believe that he hasn't got maybe hasn't got damage, but is that still going to be enough? 5 laps to go. Quattro still leads the way. It's a familiar sight seeing that Xbox logo in the top left of our screens, and with the P1 beside it, and he's about to lap, I think, Owen Curry for the second time here this race. Maybe it's the first time that he's going to... he's going to lap Owen Curry for the second time. First time here this race. Owen Curry almost gets in his way. A little bit of a bump. And SLR Quattro is true. Rayan too far behind. And unless a puncture happens in the next 5 laps, it's going to be another race win for the AlphaTauri driver. Jackie Cabana, Big Loudy having a bit of a battle. Obviously Big Loudy with his 5-second penalty means that Jackie Cabana pretty much has the position on track anyway, but he might try and go for the position on track as well, not just the position after the race, because maybe that penalty could be removed. We don't know. As we watch on board now with Jackie Cabana, 2 Tier 2 drivers. Big Loudy's picked up a penalty for track limits. That definitely won't be removed. He's buried the wall in the exit of turn 14, and it's former Tier 2 driver versus former Tier 2 driver, and Jackie Cabana being the champion. Oh, thought maybe could have got through there, but Loudy's just done enough to keep onto it for now. May soon enough be able to catch back up, we don't know. As of now, still Quattro leads the way from Rayan, from SJR, from JRR, from Big Loudy, Jackie Cabana, who are riding on board with at the moment. Hayden behind as SJR comes into the pit lane. Now obviously should be okay because of JRR's long penalty, but he is going to come into the pit lane for the soft compound tyres as he sees the track is dried out to its maximum potential now, and he should be able to keep P2, P3 and take the fastest lap, which is currently in the hands of Hayden. And unless there's some sort of puncture here in the last 3 laps, it doesn't look like that will happen, or that race win will happen. Jackie Cabana still gaining on Loudy here, but again it's just too far back, both of them using a lot of ERS, and Big Loudy just doing enough at the moment to stay in P5. SJR seems to actually be losing time to JRR, and JRR, even with his 10-second penalty, is in the podium positions. Now this could be interesting on the last 3 laps of this race. Can JRR hold on to this, or will SJR eventually get that tried track that he's been looking for all race and get that fast lap in? He's still losing time. Time could be running out for SJR here. We'll see now, because Big Loudy is gaining and JRR is gaining away. And that crucial spin there on I think lap 30 has been absolutely crucial for JRR, or for SJR, because he's now took the risk of coming in for the softs and they still aren't working at the moment, and it's looking like it could be JRR on the podium. We'll soon find out about that. The battle continues between Jackie Gabbana and Big Laudy. All 10 drivers at the moment are going to finish this race for safety cars. Probably a race to forget here in Zandvoort, as JRR picks up another penalty. That could be crucial because SJR seems to quite be evening out the time at the moment, and could just do enough to get within the 13 seconds. We'll find out whether or not that will happen. But Jackie Gabbana gaining on Big Laudy. Can he get the move done as well to the second last lap of this Grand Prix for SLR Quattro and Rayan at the front? He's not made a pit stop the whole race, the two of them, which deserves a round of applause in itself as we watch Jackie Gabbana gain. That's yellow flags. It's SJR who has lost the car and is now 18 seconds back and has a lot of work to do now. And we'll see how much he gains in the last 2 laps. Whether it's enough to catch back up, we'll find out. But Jackie Gabbana still Jackie Gabbana and Big Laudy still the gap, still the battle to watch at the moment. Jackie Gabbana goes a bit wide. He probably more than likely is just going to try and sit behind here for the last few laps, try not pick up a penalty and stay within Laudy's 8, and then he'll pick up P5, which is a very good lap, or a very good 10 points for Red Bull, including Douglas's 2 down in P9. But as you see there, SLR Quattro starting his final lap. 36 laps he has raced on these intermediate tyres. It looks like the track is almost completely dry now, but he made the right call on lap 16. He made the right call again on lap 26, and as he heads into the final sector now, SLR Quattro seems like everything is going to plan. No tyres have exploded. Everything has gone so swimmingly for the AlphaTauri drivers. He heads now down towards turn 13 and in towards the famous banking of turn 14 for the 4th time in a row. The record is broken. It's homecoming here in Zandvoort. SLR Quattro wins the Dutch Grand Prix, his home race, and is a 4-time race winner in a row. Rayan, another Dutch driver, finishes in 2nd. It's JRR at the moment looking to finish in P3. Quattro also sets the fastest lap on the final lap. That is just brilliant. JRR, Tier 2 leader at the moment, is a Tier 1 podium sitter at the moment. He is absolutely outdone himself there. SJR maybe shouldn't have pitted at the end there for the soft tyres, although he's still somehow gaining, even with no front wing. Owen Curry has set the fastest lap there on the hards, his 22 lap hards. That's how much the track dried. He could have gained but didn't gain enough. He finishes P4. Big Laudy, he has held off Jackie Gabbana, but his 8 seconds of penalty is going to set him back down to P6, and also actually P7, because Jackie Gabbana is going to go to P5. Hayden goes into P6. P7, Big Laudy. P8, Mopsy Flopsy. P9, Douglas. And finally, Owen Curry, who set the fastest lap, picks up 2 points to bring home to McLaren. SJR leaves the session almost immediately. He is done. He has not enjoyed this race at all, but I definitely have. It looked to be really dramatic at the end, but in the end it's same old, and it's that man who has done it. The hype in the TikTok last night of him potentially winning it, he's just decided and said, yes, I will win it, and he's done and won it there today. It's another first place for Quattro. It's another race win for Quattro. That's puts his lead in the championship up to 64 now, and it's going to be a long, long way back for SJR in the second part of the season. SLR Quattro, your Dutch Grand Prix winner. So, look at that, it's Dutch Delight here in Zandvoort. I've said that many times. SLR Quattro wins the Dutch Grand Prix. Ryan in P2. JRR, the first Tier 2 driver to ever finish on a Tier 1 podium while still racing in Tier 2. From P10 to P3, deserved. Well, maybe not, because Jackie Gabbana probably got driver of the day, but he finishes P3. SJR P4, Jackie Gabbana 5, Hayden 6, Loudy 7th, Mopsy 8th, Douglas 9th, and Owen Curry 10th. We're not going to be able to see the rest. That has been this race. I hope you have enjoyed it. I most certainly have. And we'll see you on Wednesday night for the final ever RSL race in 2022. Good night.